আজকের অনুষ্ঠানের সভার সাফল্য কামনা করি। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়ায়, বুকের মাঝে বিশ্ব লোকের পাবি সারা। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়ায়, বুকের মাঝে বিশ্ব লোকের পাবি সারা। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়ায়। এই যে বিপদে তোর মাঝে ওঠো খুঁজে, এই যে বিপদে তোর মাঝে ওঠো খুঁজে, সকল মরণ দিক না তারা, বাইরে তারা, বাইরে তারা। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়া, বুকের মাঝে বিশ্ব লোকের পাবি সারা। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়া। নাদুর সন্দরে মাথা হয়ে বসনা মায়া, যেখানেতে অকাল ছুটি তোর ডাকা দুটি, যেখানেতে অকাল ছুটি তোর ডানা দুটি, সবার মাঝে পাবি ছাড়া, বাইরে দাঁড়া, বাইরে দাঁড়া। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়া, বুকের মাঝে বিশ্ব লোকের পাবি সারা। আপন হতে বাহির হয়ে বাইরে দাঁড়া।
ধন্যবাদ মধুমিতা দিকে। We know that COVID-19 has affected our life in various ways. Already in India, more than 3 crore people has been affected by this disease, with more than 4 lakhs people lost their lives. Our economy has tremendously affected by lockdown imposed by the government following WHO guidelines. And we know that what the impact on economy is, because during the last fiscal year or financial year, we experienced a negative growth rate, particularly in unorganized sector, where more than 90% of the industrial workforce are working. So unemployment has risen to a tremendous level, which is already in a high level, because in 2019 we have seen that during fiscal year 2018-19, unemployment rate has risen to a level which is experienced 45 years back. And this topic will be discussed by our eminent speaker, one of our eminent speaker, Dr. Torun Sengupta. Again, higher education institutions like our colleges and universities have to switch over from campus teaching learning process to online teaching learning process. Not only teaching learning, but also evaluation process has been taken place by online mode. And this online mode may create a digital division, because online mode needs a digital device. And we know that the students group are from heterogeneous group or from different socioeconomic groups. We have Dr. Manos Paul, who will talk on about this digital division. I now request our principal sir to formally inaugurate this national webinar. Dr. Ghatak sir, please.
Thank you, Chandu. On behalf of Asansol Girls College family and on my personal behalf, I convey my thanks and gratitude to two distinguished speakers. One is Dr. Tarun Sen Gupta, Associate Professor of South Malda College, and another is Dr. Manush Pal, Professor of Economic Environment and Policy Institute of Management and Technology, Ghaziabad, Delhi, who gives their valuable time with us for this webinar on a glimpse of Indian economy and experience of pandemic due to COVID-19. Without any debate, it can be said the topic is highly relevant. Most of we are very eagerly waiting about the direction of Indian economy, but it is my personal feelings that Indian economy is passing through a series of crises for the last 3 to 4 years, through ups and downs. And particularly, I'm very much eager to know what will be the future of Indian economy. Is it so that Indian economy is only affected by the pandemic, or that is COVID-19 situation? Because we have faced COVID-19 situation for the last 2 years, but we have seen that our economy, that is Indian economy, is passing through ups and downs for the last 4 years. So those persons like me who have no background of economics, we are very much confused about the future direction of the Indian economy. Gradually, the social service sector, particularly the service sectors, are going to be privatization. My suspicion is about the another service sector, about the education, because I have read one article through online that the present government is thinking about the privatization of also the educational system. Previously, we have so many private educational institutions, but my question is whether in future there will be any institutions which is solely run by the government, or the state will take the responsibility of running of the education, because so many questions arises in our mind who have no idea about the economics. So I think these type of webinar, in addition to their specific discussion, they also highlight about the future direction of the Indian economy, whether Indian economy will give us a bright future of the upper country, or the Indian economy in the present situation is very difficult to conclude about the future of Indian economy. So without wasting much time, I requesting the two honorable and the most distinguished speaker to start their deliberation, so that we can enrich ourselves, not only enrich ourselves, so that we can gain some knowledge about the present Indian economy, and if possible, what will be the future of Indian economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Principal, sir. Now I am requesting Dr. Shamul Seth, Coordinator IQAC, to say few words.
Thank you,
Dr.
Chandan.
Seth,
I am
please.
audible.
Yeah.
Am I
audible.
audible? Okay. Thank you. A very hearty good afternoon and a very warm welcome to one and all present here. Today, we have gathered here in this virtual platform for the national webinar, a glimpse of Indian economy and experience of pandemic due to COVID-19, organized by Economics Department in association with IQAC of Asansol Girls College. In this new normal situation due to COVID-19 pandemic, people all over the world are being affected physically, mentally, and financially. A number of people have lost their jobs and financially broken down. Similarly, Indian economy is in a huge crisis due to this pandemic scenario. Thus, today's topic is very relevant and it will help all the participants who have taken out time to attend this webinar and to get a proper knowledge of the present economic conditions. Thus, without any further delay, Dr. Shamul Seth, on behalf of Asansol Girls College and IQSA, would like to welcome our distinguished speakers, Dr. Torun Sengupta and Dr. Manas Pal. And we are really looking forward for an interesting and enriching webinar ahead. So thank you. And with this, I would like to hand over to our program coordinator for continuing this webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Seth. Now I am requesting Mrs. Shalini Shah. Please introduce Dr. Torun Sengupta. Shalini, please. Shalini? Hello?
হ্যাঁ স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? Am I
I'm
audible,
Pachi.
sir?
You're audible. Please carry on.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. It's privilege for me to get this opportunity to introduce our guest. Gupta passed MA in Economics from the University of Bardhaman in 1994. He awarded PhD from North Bengal University in 2009. He has joined South Malda College in 2000 and currently he is working as an associate professor in economics in that college. He published more than 35 research papers in various disciplines like inequality, smart city, sustainability, urban finance, etc. He authored 2 books and also edited 3 volumes. Presently, he is working on application of R and Python in economics and statistics. Today, he will deliver his lecture on unemployment situation in India recent trend. So please unmute your phone and deliver your lecture. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shalini. Torun Sengupta, please.
Thank you, and good afternoon to the excellencies and the guests. Respected Vice Principal Sir, Professor Ghotto, IQSA Chairman, Coordinator, Professor Seth, Convener of today's seminar, Dr. Banerjee, Joint Convener, Dr. Mukherjee, Professor Mollik, Professor Pal, and respected audiences. Before saying anything more, and then I want to share my screen. Is it possible here from? The sharing option is not there. Hello? Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, 1 minute, just make it full screen. Is it clear? No?
Yes, clear.
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay. My today's discussion will move around the unemployment situation in India, obviously present, and we also go to the past to discuss this. The present situation obviously reminds us to an excellent novel written in 1947 by Albert Camus, The Plague. It was published in 1947, and in the epilogue of its part 1, he has quoted 2 important lines. The lines from, possibly this is, the lines taken from the 3rd volume of Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. It clearly expresses the today's situation somehow. Now, Let us see the few photographs which is very much known to us in different print media and also in electronic media. We have seen these photographs many times. This clearly depicts the miseries and sufferings of the Indians in time of COVID pandemic situation. But when we are discussing today's situation, we necessarily have to discuss the few past episodes. Just 30 years ago, in the late June of 1991, India liberated from the Soviet-style economy and transformed itself to liberate 300 million people out of the poverty trap. But then we are facing COVID-19 surge. The years of development has been unknown within few months. And India are on grim job prospects. The devastation has highlighted that the facts how poor our healthcare and infrastructure are holding back the nation and its people. Both were neglected in the last 30 years severely. In this situation, in this Jadres, the Belgian economist, have quoted two important lines. I am also sharing this to you. Had the healthcare system not been so neglected for so long, India could have been prepared for better to face the crisis. And in another way, he has also said that had India built a more robust social security system, the humanitarian toll of the crisis would not have been so catastrophic. It has aptly been said. But the situation, we are not COVID-19 situation is not responsible for all. I have studied few literature starting from 2016 to 2020 and try to prepare a word cloud which shows like this. In 2016-17, there was no such issues of COVID-19 or like that. But in that literature, there was the unemployment, economic growth, salaried person, this type of words are coming very frequently. But it is true that the situation was worsened by the COVID-19. Sorry. The Indian economy experienced a loss of over 32,000 crore rupees every day during the first 21 days of the complete lockdown. In March 15, we had 6.7% of unemployment, which has rose to 26% within 1 month. And nearly 14 crore lost their employment, and 45% of the households' nation's income has dropped. And obviously, the urban sector was also hard hit. And it was the highest level of unemployment in the urban sector since independence, that is 29, nearly 30% of unemployment in the urban sector, while in the rural sector, it was not less than 27% nearly. And this is the graph which shows that the unemployment rate during this period, starting from January 2020 to May 2021. In the mid of the year of the 2020, it was increased to nearly 27%. And again, in the second surge of the COVID, which was affected India in the month of May in 2021, it has again gone increasing. If we consider to the sector-wise job loss, it is seen that the automobile manufacturing sector and the travel and tourism sector. Sorry. Sorry, 1 minute. Let me back to this sector. It is not doing. Sorry, I'm not able to move back the.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, no, there was too few. Possibly. Oh, okay, sorry. Where I was. Is it? It's not working. Why it is not? I can't. It's not moving. Sorry, 1 minute. Just let me clear it. Why it is doing?
Press escape button if it works.
No, escape is not working.
Back
Why
button
it's-
is also not working.
Up, down, anything is not working. Why it is doing? Just 1 minute. Just I'm taking this.
Okay, okay.
Escaping button. It's going to the. Mhm.
Okay, let's say from this side.
Okay, that's better. It
Again,
is automatically going on there. What is happening? Again, going on to that part. Okay, thanks.
don't need to show slide. Just take on that PowerPoint page.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's. So automobile sector has a huge job loss, that is nearly 60%, and another sector is travel and tourism, which has nearly 70% job loss. And other sectors are also similar impacts on that, but in these two sectors, the job loss is the highest. And now, before going to further details, just I'm giving to some glimpses of the unemployment situation and how it is measured and what are the different types of unemployment and consequences of that. It is told that the unemployment is a situation when the person is actively search for job but unable to find the work. And from this part, it is actively search for the job, the term comes the labor force. 15 to 59 age group are considered as a labor force, and labor force participation rate is considered on total population, but unemployment is considered on total labor force. That means in labor force participation rate, we are taking the total population and how much is the labor force is acting. And in considering the unemployment rate, we are considering the labor force and how much is unemployed on the total labor force. If we consider the labor force participation rate, it was also declining from 2016 onwards. It is in the 2016, it was nearly 52-53%, and now it is came down to 49%. In case of unemployment data, we are generally considering the NSO data, which was earlier was NSSO and CSO, but it has been carved together to make a new department, that NSO. But the data came into a considerable lag, so we have to rely on another private sector, that is Center for Monitor or Indian Economy. and which has published the weekly unemployment data since 2016. And now consider the few important definitions regarding unemployment, which is relevant to discuss this because it will be helpful to understand how unemployment is measured. First, it is 3 different types of definition is given there. One is usual status of unemployment, where it is told that a labor force, if it is available for work for a major part of the year, that is more than 182 days. And from this of 182 days, if he is employed for 90 days or more, he is considered as employed. So if a person is available for 200 days, but is not able to get job for at least 100 days, he will be considered as unemployed. It is the principal status, usual principal status. And another one is usual subsidiary status. And in case of usual subsidiary status, those who are coming which is not under the labor force, because they are not available for the major part of the year. That means they are not available for more than 180 days, maybe available for 100 or 150 or 160 days. And by these people are, if they are able to get job for at least 30 days or more, they would be considered as employed under the subsidiary status. Consider these two together, we have usual principal and subsidiary status. And another definition, the second part comes is the weekly status, current weekly status. If he is in the survey week, if that person is not employed, getting a job for at least an hour a week, he is considered as unemployed. According to the CMI data in 2015-16, it was 3.7%. I'm going to the different data also for next days. And another part is this, which is also important, and that is considered and very much. This is the current daily status. It is considered the activity status of the each day. If the person is not working at least an hour, he is considered as unemployed. If he is getting job for 1 to 4 hours, he is considered as half employed. And if he is able to get a job more than 4 hours, then he is considered as employed. Now take an example. If we consider that a person in a week, that is out of 7 days, he is available for 6 days. Say the 5th day he is not going to work. On the first day he is able to get a job for 5 hours. So his status of employment is 1, that is fully employed. And on the 3rd day, he is able to work on the 3 hours. So his status of employment is half. In the similarly, if on the 6th day, if he is able to get a job for only half an hour, so his status of employment is 0 because he is unemployed on that day. In this example, if we consider the total days of work available is 6 days and employed for 4 days. So current daily status becomes 2 by 6, that is 33%. In this way, the unemployment is calculated in both NSO calculation and also CMI calculation. And if we consider the unemployment rate from the 1999 to 2020, that means in the last 20 years, it is said that never we have unemployment rate below the 5% rate. In each and every cases, we have more than 5% rate of unemployment. And mostly in that cases, in case of females, that means women unemployment rate is far more higher than that of the male unemployment rates. And according to the CMI data, it is clear that we have nearly 3 crores of unemployment in the 2016 and 17, and also 3.3 crores in 2019 and 20. And it is from the last 20 years data, considering to this, that it is visible that in each and every year, that is unemployment rate is nearly around 5.5% or thing. And the situation was worsened by the COVID, it is no doubt. But prior to that COVID situation, we have also a huge level of unemployment we're carrying forward. And another part is that it is not so important. Okay. Another important topic is that here is the responsiveness of employment with respect to growth. That means in the last 20 years or 30 years, we have a moderate level of GDP growth. In some cases, we have also crossed the 7% or 7.5% growth rate, but employment rate has not been increased to that level. In the first phase, if we consider prior to the liberalization period, that means 1983 to 1994, employment growth rate was 2.5%, and employment elasticity, that means responsiveness of employment with the growth rate, was 0.47%. But it has gradually came down to nearly 0.2 in recent years. And in the side figure, it is clear that for the educated people, there is unemployment rate is higher than the less educated people. And the same thing is also depicted by this infograph. And it is seen that the urban India, the rate of unemployment is higher than that of, far more than that of the rural India. It's the cause is not that the rural India is absorbing a lot of people, that is job prospect is very good in rural area. It is not that, because rural area is totally agriculture and farm dominated, and farm has a unique capacity to absorb people, but without productivity. Productivity growth in rural area is very much. And one important factor is that in this development situation, we are developing a K-shaped growth, basically. That means rich get richer, poor get poorer. And the difference between the rich and poor is widening. It is not the case of the two different economy we are considering each and every time, that means USA or China. It is not that case in these two economies. Inequality is not just a moral issue, it also erodes the consumption, and also long-term growth prospect is hampered by that. It is problematic to see in this small part, but just I am also trying to explain this. Here we have 3-4 infographics which will tell the situation of the economy which is there in India. One minute, I'm trying to this. Okay. It is seen that the purchasing manufacturing index, it is falling, which is the indicator of future prospect of industry. It is falling. Industrial activity, that means the industrial production index is also falling. Government revenue falls. Inflation rate rising, and it also slowing down the foreign investment. In case of inflation, it is said that India has a high rate of inflation, not only in the COVID situation, but also prior to that situation. If we consider few different data, right, like this, if we are considering the inflation of India, sorry. Now consider the inflation of India, which was thoroughly higher than nearly 5 to 6% in the last 5 years, which was not in the case of China. In China, it was not that case. And also in that case, which was on marginally higher in only in 2020, but throughout the case, it was nearly 2 to 2.5%. And even in Bangladesh, it is also lower than India. We have very much well known the fact that COVID has created a lot more trouble for the job seekers, basically to the salaried job. And the direct impact on the business and the reciprocal effect has forced the companies to farm down their productive capacity and also to the job to the thousands of people to out of there. Unemployment rate in India has started through a double digit again in the second wave has hit in May 2021. According to the Center of Monitoring India, unemployment rate shoot up to 14%, 14.5% on the week ended, and the May 16 it was 14.7% on last week of May 23. That means within a month that is increased to 14 to 15% of the second wave of COVID. And at the same time, it is also true that urban unemployment rate was higher than that of the rural unemployment rate. In the second wave, it is also true. RBI has predicted that the second wave of unemployment situation is unprecedented, and also we are facing to the resources dilemma, and India is not immune to cope up with that situation at all. In this situation, in this system, the salaried job has not been increased at all. But the point is that in this time, that means up to financial year 2020, India has 7.8 crore entrepreneurs, but the salaried job remained stagnant at 8.6 crores. That means the entrepreneurship development has not increased the job prospect of India. Furthermore, it is true that in this situation from the 1919 to, just if we go to the past situation, that means 2016-17 to 1919, continuously we are declining the salaried job prospects of India. That means it was and if we consider the unemployment rate of the different countries, expect Greece and Spain all are below 10% there. In the European countries, it is also only an exception in India, which is touched to the nearly 30% in the to the March or May in the May 2020, and again in 2021 May 21 it was also more than 15% in there. But in European countries, it is saying that never it has crossed to the 10% level, and only in USA, that is also in the severe COVID affected countries, another country of the world, where it is only 10% crossed the 10% level of unemployment only in 3 months, and it's the May, June, and July. But after that, it was remained below the 10% level. And in May 2021, it was 5.5%. And if we consider the situation between 2014 and 2019, just comparing the two major economies, USA and UK, Germany, etc., we are saying that there is a falling of unemployment rate in these countries. In 2014, there was nearly 6 to 6.5% unemployment rate, which came down to 3.7 to 3.9% respectively in the USA and UK. But India was an exception. But what is the cause behind this? We can derive the 3 different causes of that. The first is that the gross capital formation, that means which is commonly called as net investment, was constantly declining in India. It was 30% in the 2014-15, and then it came down to 27%, and again nearly to 27% in the 2019-20. And when the net investment is reducing, so capital formation is reducing, that means that capacity to add add the production is also declining and leading to new sources of requirements and trimming down to the existing workforce. And another part is that our economic growth has witnessed a downturn from the last 4 years, which is indicated a slow demand and consumption, and demand are low for the households also there, and household saving is also dwindling in that time period. A recent report has published that it is saying that the average income of the 65% of the Indian is below 10,000 per month. So demand level is very low, and which is the main consequences of the development is that means growth is also reducing. And another factor is that Indian reliance, a heavy reliance on agricultural sector, that means urban, rural sector, and 42% workforce are also engaged in, till now, we are engaged in rural workforce. And the share of the manufacturing sector in the GDP is continuously falling from 15.6% in 2015 to 13.7% in 2019. That means which is able to create the more job that the manufacturing sector is not able to do that. And therefore, there are the three different conditions, that is declining, constant declining of the investment, constant declining of the manufacturing sector share, employment share in the manufacturing sector, and also the reducing demand in the overall Indian economy is also the main cause of unemployment from the last 3 or 4 years. So COVID is not the only responsible for this. COVID is also only an impact that which has aggravated the situation, which has also opened up the possibility, open up the situation and what we are doing. But it is the impact of the last 30 years which we are not able to do properly. India's GDP growth has been declining for the last 3 years. This red line is showing that the yearly annual change was negative in that case.
Dr. Sengupta, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
Please conclude within next 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And another important factor is the recent study is also showing that the employment in the women's sector, that means that the female employment is also declining in the after COVID situation. And there is another factor that is I have seen in 1 or 2 days ago. That means in the second wave, it is the condition in the first wave. That means the women are not getting back to their job, which was earlier in pre-COVID situation. They are not getting back to their job in the COVID situation, post-COVID situation. And it is the case of first wave. For the second wave, the situation has altered. And the main participation, that means that is the loss of job for the men is higher than that of the women. It is also another severe impact on the growth, on the income level of the common people. And the same story is told in a different way. That is, the women's are in the April 1919, there was 8% employment was for the women, and it was to drop down to 3.5% in August 2020. And it also true that is the highly educated employment and the PG plus level employment of the women has declined to 15.9% from 49.6% in April to August on the COVID first wave situation. And if we consider the state-wise unemployment rate, it is saying that on the May 2021, it was 19% in case of West Bengal and highest in case of Delhi. But it is the situation has been changed totally in the recent time, because India, that is Delhi, is the rate of unemployment nearly 8 to 8.5%, and in West Bengal it has increased to 20 to 23%. That means these states are few states are recovering, and few states are not able to recover that. And now, finally, we have some remedial measures in whatever we can get out of this stranglehold. It is true that significant investment is needed in all sectors of the economy, basically the rural non-farm sector. That means rural sector, farm sector is absorbing the employment, but it is not, the productivity is not rising. So we need to invest more to the rural non-farm sector, which will give some employment generation prospect to the people. And at the same time, we need to develop the urban informal sector with some support system. That means for banking sector, from develop availability of credit, availability of business controlling system, and with some artificial intelligence system also, when it will come, that will also reduce the job to a lot. So we have to give some protection in that sector also. And finally, substantial improvement is needed for the infrastructure, basically the education, better private sector, private partnership, and liberalization of the financial market is also needed, and with some environmental issues. And at the same time, we have to implement the labor law, labor code, which has also in the parliament, but not passed as a bill due to the state legislation problem. That means that the labor law will also help some support system to the unemployment, to the employment generation, and also they will support the social security measures will also be there. And now at this situation, it is quite likely to remind another famous novel, that means The Tale of Two Cities, which was published in 1859, and where it is said that we had everything before us, we had nothing before us. And it is the condition that possibly we will never be free from virus, because it represents the dereliction of the human conditions itself. Because the virus is within ourselves. It's not come from virus is also an just example of these situations, but it is not that we are different types of viruses affected by us. There is the economic condition, there is a political situation, that is in the 30 years what we have done. We have not done for anything for the development of healthcare system, for the infrastructure, for the education development, which are affecting today as a consequences. Now we are thanking you with the tribute to Nelson Mandela, because today is his birthday. Thank you all.
Shalini, please.
For your wonderful and for enhancing our knowledge. Dear audience, if you have any questions, then feel free to ask. One question from Pita Goswami is that, what about the unemployment level in the construction sector during COVID-19 pandemic?
Excuse me, what is the unemployment level in?
In the construction sector during COVID-19.
Obviously, construction sector has suffered a loss, but in local area there some construction was there, but any government construction or any large level of construction has not been done. There was a data also is there, nearly 35% job loss is there in the construction sector.
The questions from the audience.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shegutto. Till now, if further question arises, I will forward it. Okay, now I am requesting Sanchita Varai. Please introduce Dr. Manas Pal. Sanchita, please.
Thank you. Thank you, the webinar coordinators and organizers for introducing, giving me the opportunity to introduce Dr. Manas Pal, who is presently serving as a professor in Economic, Environment and Policy, Institute of Management and Technology, Ghaziabad, Delhi NCR. He passed MA in Economics from the University of Burdwan in 1994. He awarded PhD from IGIDR, Mumbai in 2000. He has vast working experience in industry, right from as Chief Economist in Securities Trading Corporation of India Limited, then economist in Global Banking and Markets Knowledge Center, HSBC, then as Vice President, Axis Bank Limited, as economist in the Ministry of Finance, the Sultanate of Oman. He has publications of several research papers in many international and national journals as well. Today, he will talk on Indian digital transformation, addressing the digital divide on this topic. Dr. Paul, please unmute yourself and deliver your lecture. We are eagerly waiting for your deliver. Thank you.
Many thanks, Ms. Kurai, for this kind introduction. Respected patrons, Dr. Khatok, Dr. Seth, the webinar conveners, Dr. Chandan Bandyopadhyay, Dr. Sumana Mukherjee, other members of the organizing committee, Sri Shambhuto Ghosh, Srimati Payal Dotto, Srimati Sanchita Gorai, Srimati Salini Shaw, respected faculty of Asansol Girls College, staffs, and my dear students. It is indeed a privilege for me to be out here and share some thoughts on this issue, which is very, very pertinent now, not only to India per se, but developing nations across the globe. So before I start, let me start to share my slides. I hope the slide is visible.
Yeah, visible, completely visible.
Okay, great. So thank you so much. Thank you so much again for giving me this privilege to talk on this. So now what I would like to say is that when we talk about this issue of digital transformation, it is an unstoppable process. It has started and it is unlikely to go on in its own speed. At times, appended by some policy or some support, at times might be obstructed to some extent, but it will have far-fetched implications across different domains. What I meant by that is that across, say technology. We know that there are a lot of technological innovations which are happening. We know that initially people used to talk about companies like Xerox, etc. But today, people are talking about companies like say Amazon, like Google, which possibly didn't had a presence about 30 years back. So yes. So it is having. This digital transformation process. It's making an impact, which is technological. It's an impact on the economy, in the sense that many are things which was not possible earlier because of the lack of this digital transformation is possible today. Today, one can simply go on a say e-commerce site and purchase things without having to visit kind of brick and mortar store. So you are kind of saved of your time, your energy, your petrol cost, and you can do it from the comfort of your home. So yes, there is an impact on economy. There is an impact on the political process, my dear friends. If you look at it, during our times when we were kids, we used to see the political process before any poll. It used to be real, it used to get warmed up, and the two most important instruments were basically meetings, and then all those public rallies. And the other thing which was very common was the writings on the walls, right? So for different parties used to talk about their cadres out there. That used to be an art by itself. But nowadays, we no more depend on that. We try to influence the political sentiments or arouse political sentiments through social media. And we not only do that, we also try to get a view or try to measure the political sentiments which is arising in the social media, or which is going on in the social media. We not only influence, but we also try to measure the impact of such influences, and that is also being possible only because of the political economy. Because of this digital transformation. Social and culture. Now, I still remember when we were kids, after coming from school, the first thing that we wanted to do was to go out and play, whether it's a game of football or a game of cricket or something. But nowadays, what we see is, I'd say, especially with my kids, I'm sure that there would be some element of commonality that people are glued more to the digital devices than going, that often to go out and play and interact with people. Think of it, when we talk about the Bijoy Sambalan, in the Bengali society post the Durga Puja, we have these Bijoyas. Initially we used to go to houses, touch the feet of the elders, have some sweets and come back. But nowadays we tend to do it over WhatsApp. So the things are changing. The things are changing. I mean, because of this digital transformation, and there are also ethical aspects to it. Now, whether you allow the OTT kind of things which are delivered to be, to be seen by your kids, how you manage that, whether the entire thing is ethical or not, those things are also there. So it's an unstoppable development. Okay? It has lots of potential. Okay, and it depends upon how we really end up using it. And given the potential that it has, India doesn't want to be left behind. India doesn't want to be left behind. India wants to be a part of it. Rightly so. India wants to be a part of it, and that is layered in the by the National Digital Communication Policy, which came in 2018, which shows a great intent of having a digital dream. So yes, India poses a digital dream, and India wants to kind of harness the benefits out of a digital economy. So what does this digital dream comprise of? Okay, so digital dream comprises of a digitally connected society that enables us to have seamless access and use of information resources. And the idea is to create competitive, innovative, and knowledge-based society. So that could lead to a lot of increase in productivity, knowledge, and well-being. So that's the kind of thought process behind it. And as I've marked it out, the intent is simply great. But there are challenges. And the primary challenge is what is the path to realize this. And to some extent, it got discussed and kind of portrayed in the National Digital Communication Policy 2018, but a lot more needs to be done. So, but having though there are these challenges that I've talked about, there are challenges, primary challenges, but let us not undermine its potential. So I'll just give an example, the potential it can have. So this is basically a picture of an unstaffed, digital supermarket, in Sweden. The Nordic countries, they are not so much kind of inhabited, far-flung places, but people do tend to live out there, and they need their daily needs. So how to cater to them? So what they have done is that they have, put up this unstaffed, staffed, supermarkets where you find all the things out there. What you have to do is that you just go in, and for that, you will have to use your digital device, and the door will open. You will go in, you will buy whatever you have to buy, means pick up things from the stacks and the refrigerator, scan it in your mobile, and kind of pay it up again through an application that is linked into your mobile. So everything is done digitally. There is no manual intervention in the sense. So yes, so you can do such things. The thing that you would miss is that you will not have an opportunity to say hi to the people that generally are around in a store, and you will have no opportunity to swap the local gossip, which we do. We human beings, we are a social animal, but so in such kind of a thing, yes, you have the food, you have the necessities, but you do not have the opportunity out. There is one more aspect. I think Professor Sengupta, in his fantastic presentation, he has touched upon this. There's one thing, here, suppose in a supermarket, if there were 4 people who were employed, now what the employer would do is that he will employ only one guy to digitally kind of just look after the store from a distance, and those remaining 5 people will possibly lose their employment, or will have to look at some other space to kind of be employed. So in the process, what happens is that there is an increase in labor, productivity. Now, it would have been good if this increase, the benefits out of increased productivity is shared across both the capital, to both the factors of production, the capital and labor. But we would see that that's not generally the case. So we know that it has potential, but as I have said before, that there are challenges. And one of the challenge is the lack of information, communication, and technology. Okay. So when we talk about digital transformation, we talk about the things that can be done. One of the basic requirement is kind of information, communication, technology, infrastructure, and one of the basic requirements is the access to internet. And if we see out there, we see, we will somewhere, be, somewhere near to this, global average or possibly a bit below. So we really kind of, are a long way off from where the advanced countries are, who are moving towards digitization or digital transformation in that pace. So if we do not have the infrastructure, are we or will we be able to harness the benefits those are expected to follow out of a rapid digital transformation? I think. Okay. So this is more of a place. The data shows how the developing world, how they fared, and it is not only the access to the internet, but the quality of the access to it. Suppose I am having an access to an internet to be on this, online webinar, but suddenly my speed goes down, and though there's an access, but it would not be effective. I'll not be able to come on video, or possibly I'll not be able to share the slide. And even if you have access, there has to be the skill. So as I said at the beginning of this thing, that I do not have much of an IT skill, so I was facing a problem of setting my camera. I had to kind of ask my son to set it for me. He's possibly a bit more skilled than I am. So it is not only the quality of the infrastructure, but the skill to use it, and beyond that, the willingness to use it as well. So willingness is an issue. Now think of it. Now we might be using the online kind of sources. My son might be using the online sources to buy, to book train tickets, or do whatever he wants. A large part could be done by him digitally. But think of my dad. He doesn't want to go to an e-commerce site and big basket and get his green vegetables. No, he enjoys going to a market. He enjoys kind of going and seeing the vegetables out there, the fishes out there, and purchase the thing that he wants, that he feels that he wants to do it. Now, what happens to them when we are totally moving into the digital stream? Is that that they should be left behind? This kind of people, they like more to have a person from the bank to attend him personally than being heard on a mechanical voice, after dialing, if you want this service, dial 1, if you want this service, dial 2. So what happens to them as a part of the society? Is it that in the process of digitization we'll leave them out of the social system? That's a question, and an ethical one as well. Now, this is basically we are talking about the internet access across different groupings of country, but this doesn't talk about the Indian data. So let us take a look at the Indian data. But before that, I need to also talk about one very important thing. If we talk about this process of digital transformation, then there has to be an element of technology adoption by the people. If the people are not able to adopt the technology, then your digitization, or digital transformation will not yield the same result. So as I said, there are three kind of broad stages in this technology adoption. One is the existence of a necessary ecosystem, the infrastructure, the internet coverage, electricity. You need to have a phone, a smartphone, which is usable, which is possibly low cost, and where you do not face a lot of kind of data security risks. So those things has to be there. Second is the skill set to use the ecosystem. So even if you have a phone, you need how to use them, or you need to be kind of literate enough to really kind of use them. And as I said, there could be people like my dad who might have a kind of support of an ecosystem, might have also the skill to use them, but he doesn't want, he's not willing to use them. So if all these things are not treated before we move forward, aggressively in an accelerated way with the process of digital transformation, then there would be the risks. And two important risks to remind would be digital divide. Now, when we talk about digital divide, what do we mean? That it is only people who have access to these three things, or kind of who have access to a nice internet connectivity, who has access to a nice laptop, mobile, who has the skill set to kind of use it. They will be in a position to use the benefits of digital technology. But what happens to the poor guys who doesn't have access to that? Should they be left out of the system? And if that is the case, then there is an element of digital divide. We are creating pockets of population who will remain out from the spillover of the benefits that digitization as a process can bring in. Besides, we're talking about digital marginalization, like people who have possibly the support, the means, and the skills to do so, but they do not want to be a part of the digital system. That would imply digital marginalization, and it is likely to happen to people like my dad who are in the older bracket. And now, if that's the case, then what's the fallout? There's a very, very important fallout, my dear friends, and the fallout is the prospects for a group of people being at risk of being excluded from the benefits of the social, economic, political, and the cultural activities. So there is an element of social exclusion. So you will have to, it will by itself force a process where people would be excluded out of this kind of benefits. And this would be in direct contradiction to the ideals of the Indian digital system. So we need to see if this is not there, then possibly we need to rethink at what pace we need to kind of go with the digital transformation process. Having said that, so let us see what is the internet speed. This Ookla test, and where does India fit in globally? So this is the data for May, which was the latest that available when I tried to access it a couple of days earlier. So you see India's rank, in the kind of the speed to download or upload in mobile is 128, okay, amongst 137 countries. So we still have a long way to go, okay, and it is 73 in the case of fixed broadband, but that also shows that some kind of a road to cover for there. To be at par, to really benefit or to harness the benefits of digital transformation. We see the global average, how do we compare with the speeds, in terms of global average. We see that we do not compare very well in terms of the speeds that we have in our mobile, though there is an element of comparability, at least in the upload speed for fixed broadband. So what this entire data shows that we still have some ways to go to really harness the benefits of digital transformation. So if you push the digital transformation process, I'm not saying it's a no-go area. It's definitely a go area. But whenever we are pushing it, we should be mindful of the inconsistencies that might have for different segments of the population of a country. Because as a country, we need to take all of them together. We cannot leave any one of them. Now, once I'm showing you this data, some of you in the group might say, "Oh, Manas, you are showing me a data only for the month of May." So, month of May 2021, that was when the country was, going through pandemic. So this, speed could be most, there is a chance that this is a kind of, a data which is, not so common. So it might be an aberration, monthly aberration. So to rule that out, here we see the mobile, broadband speed in G20 countries, and if you look at it, where do we stand? We stand at the bottom of them, and see, we do not have enough speed, even like Indonesia, Argentina, Mexico. So, as I said, my dear friends, we really have to go a long way to harness the benefits of digitization. So this was one aspect of the ecosystem, the existence of infrastructure. What about digital literacy? Okay, now digital literacy might not be or would be relatively less of a concern for people in the urban India, okay, in the urban centers. But my dear friends, we are a country where 70% of our population still comes from the rural area. So we cannot really kind of wish them off. They are a sensitive group, and to have an inclusive society, we'll have to take them along with us. And precisely, possibly, that is why there has been a program which is known as the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharata Abhiyan. No, that was launched in the first half of 2017. And the target was to train 60 million people by March 2019. The target was to have to train 60 million people by March 2019, but till date, so the figure says that around 41 million have been trained so far. So though it is 2021, it is in fact July 2021, more than 2 years down the line, we have not still been able to meet the target. And not only this, because just this view of the 60 million people doesn't make much of a sense unless until we try to get a view about so what percentage of the population do they really feel, how relevant is that 60 million number. So to get a hang of it, the estimate, if we have the total the estimate of the total rural workforce, Professor Sengupta was trying to or he has already explained what a labor force is, what a workforce is. That means people who are in the job market, who are actively looking for job. And this is, I'm talking for the rural workforce, they are 349 million people. Okay. Now, I'm sure that all of us will agree that not all of them are digitally illiterate. So, but some of them are. So, even if we say that, for the sake of for sake of taking a figure, say 1/4 of them, even if we take 1/4 of them to be digitally kind of illiterate, even then also we are yet to kind of train them. So there is an element of digital literacy which exists in India, and unless and until we address that, we will not be able to harness the benefit of this digital transformation. Now, once we have this digital, this is not lack of digital illiteracy. This is digital. Okay, so lack of digital. Literacy. That's fine. So once we have digital illiteracy, then the people are exposed to cyber crimes. By the way, let me tell you that even when people are digitally literate, even then they are exposed to cyber crimes. I know one of my colleagues, who is also from Asansol. He is Professor Parijat Upadhyay, and he himself is a professor of IT. But he was also even he had to go through a spate of cybercrime. So it is not only people who are digitally illiterate, but people who are even digitally literate. They are exposed to cyber crimes, and we see that the number of cyber crimes. So this is the reported number, but I'm sure there will be a lot of unreported numbers which also go through. So that has seen a continuous rise. But the best part is, well, India is committed. India is committed, to enhance the cyber security. So there is something called Global Cyber Security Index. India has now just now ranked around 10, which is up from 47 earlier. So that shows the commitment. This index shows the commitment towards ensuring cyber security. But we do not deny that India is committed, but and the Indian laws are in the process of continuous evolution to kind of support such commitment. But there are concerns which we cannot really ignore, and the concerns are that over the 12-month period till April 2021, 59% of Indian adults, 59% of Indian adults fell victims to growing number of cyber crimes. and 52% of Indian adults do not know how to protect them from cyber crimes. And this is a report which was done by the cybersecurity software company Norton LifeLock. So one is that one might be, and if this happens to a person who is digitally illiterate, it only compounds, it only aggravates the situation that person would be in. Now, let me give you a flavor of a few recent attacks on the Indian cyberspace. Well, we know the famous attack in 2016 on Union Bank. Somehow the bank was able to kind of get back its funds of 171 million dollars. Then there were attacks, the famous WannaCry ransomware attack on Indian states. So the states were being attacked by ransomware in 2017, but it is not only 2016 and 17. We have had incidents, okay, even in 2020. Okay, so now let's try and understand that. In October 2020, Haldiram faced a ransomware attack, and the value, the ransomware attack was demanded $750,000, quite a amount of money. Okay, then the big basket, that also went through a reported incident where around the data for more than 2 million users were compromised. So we see things have not only been it didn't stabilize in 2017, but there has been other things as well. In May 2020, Truecaller, Indian users, 40 million of the data for the Indian users of Truecaller, Truecaller was sold on the dark web just for a mere amount. Okay, and RBI had red flagged the cybersecurity issues in its July 2020 financial stability report. Now, given this, so once we build this kind of an environment, think of the risk of an ordinary uninformed Indian, and think of the risk of the rural uninformed Indian, where he or she stands, at what risk he or she can. I can give a lot of anecdotal kind of stories where people have been duped, but for the sake of time, I just want to finish this presentation, and if there are interest and if there are kind of question, we can take them on. Besides, there is also an apathy towards technology because there are concerns of job loss due to the adoption of advanced technologies. Professor Sengupta has also indicated that in his presentation earlier, so that has been a great help for me, Professor Sengupta. Thank you so much. So if we look at it, this is the estimate of the percentage of job losses across countries due to the usage of advanced, so due to the use of technology. And if you look at it, India stands out here. Here the job losses are from 52 to 67%, because if you look at it, the countries Ethiopia, Cambodia, China, Bangladesh, Angola, Thailand, Vietnam, India, Romania, these are the countries who have a lot of mechanized kind of manufacturing, and as there is a movement out of it, just movement out of it to kind of it being replaced by smarter technologies, by more innovative technologies where digitization play a part, you see the estimates of the job losses that we see, which is lower compared to the a lot more digitally advanced countries like Norway and Singapore, where they also are they also will face a job loss, but their job loss will be around from 10 to 40%. But for us, it would be about 50 to nearly 70%. So, and once you see this thing, once you hear this thing, then you develop a genuine apathy towards technology adoption. And as I have said, as I've said earlier, that if there is an apathy, then if there is not much of technology adoption, then my dear friend, this element or drive or of digital transformation is unlikely to serve its purpose. Now, beyond that, this apathy has some support. And again, I would go back to what Professor Sengupta has been saying, that you see, if in India over time, if you see yeah, I mean, I just saw a chat. Maybe, just what I would do, I will just go back. I would request Dr. Bandyopadhyay to keep a tab of all the questions, so after this session I can take on them. I would be very happy to take them. Now, because of this, job losses, there is support of an evidence that with the adoption of this technology elsewhere, that has given rise to inequality. By inequality, what I mean is that the declining share of labor in the GDP. Now, what Professor Sengupta was also saying, and that has an implication out here as well. Now, what has happened is that the thing is that as we went on to this fourth industrial revolution, we have seen that very few people are employed, and we go to automation, digitization, and because of that, the labor productivity goes up. Okay, labor productivity goes up, but the labor wage doesn't rise to the extent of the productivity. So that means a part of the share, what the labor produces, goes to someone who benefits. Who benefits? And if you see that it is not a question of the developing countries alone, this is a data for the developed countries, okay? And we see the share of labor in the income has really fallen, though in different proportion. And this story comes out very well. Just very well for the case of US. If you look at it, 3/4 of the decline in the labor in the labor share in the United States in 1947, okay, that has come in the in the 2000s, and if you know that we all remember that in 2001 there was a dot-com crisis, and after that there was a spurt in the digitization process, and if you see that coincides with this fall in the share of labor. And my dear friends, if this is the case with US, I'm sure you can see similar traces, if not a lot more aggravated traces in a country like India, or even if it's not happening now, it's likely to happen in the future if we follow the digital process in the way that we have been trying to do. Okay. Besides, there are some other aspects of rising inequality as well. It's not only the fall in the labor wealth, in the share of the labor income. Okay, what has happened is that the highly skilled worker, benefited most from the technologies. Now, I'll give an example. Look at it. As Professor Sengupta was saying, that who have seen the major job losses. He was talking of automobile sector and some other one more sector, though possibly tourism. Yeah. Just which has seen a significant decline. Increase in unemployment. Okay, but my dear friends, one sector has seen an element of a subset of the subset of one sector, that is IT, has seen significant spurt in business, because as people went online, obviously the businesses of the IT industries have gone up. Okay, and so some of the very strategically located people, their wage income has gone up. Okay, but even then, as I said, it was not enough. It was not no way matched to the gain in the productivity that they have bought out because of this. So my question earlier, that who shares the larger portion of the pie that is coming out of increased labor productivity, and my dear friends, is captured by a very small number of dominant companies. That's what IAM which is saying, and it is being said by the World Social Report 2020. So my dear friends, what I would do, what I would ask you all to go and see the facts and figures of Google and Amazon and see how much has been the growth in the earnings per share of those companies and how much has been the growth in the wages of the people across, in an average term. Besides, a large part of the innovation in the financial services, has come out or has been focused on trading and asset management. But they are primarily, they benefit the well-off. So not many kind of, small and marginal farmer will go, and ask for asset management, services or trading services. But he doesn't know what kind of a trading services exist. So what is there for him in terms of technology? What is he kind of benefiting from? What does he get out of it? So these are questions, my dear friends. So we see that there are concerns. There are definite concerns with this process of the drive towards digital transformation. The concerns are the lacking infrastructure. The concerns are the lack of digital literacy. The concerns are lack of cyber or kind of an increased cyber crimes. There are concerns of job losses. There are concerns of rising equity. And my dear friends, so long these things are not addressed, we will not get whatever we have told, or our digital dream will continue to remain unfulfilled. So we will most likely emerge as a divisive society where the inequality is only rises. As we said that it is not only that the COVID has aggravated the inequality, but that has been a process which has been right from even before that, and what I'm trying to say is a part of it could be attributed to this digitalization of services, and where the benefits accrue only to a handful of companies. You see, almost in terms of businesses, the way these companies have gone up, Amazon, Google, they almost have become, I think, around 17% of the S&P index. My goodness,
Dr. Paul, hello.
Yeah.
Dr. Paul, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Just conclude in 5 minutes, okay?
Sure. Thank you. So now I just want, I just had one more thing to say. So even if we have this story that we behind, now let us try to link it to the this corona vaccine and the CoWIN app, the usage of the CoWIN app. It's a part of the digital story. We have forced people to go digital in the CoWIN app. So if you go in the CoWIN app, what you see is that there are three ways to kind of to use the app. First of all, you will have to use to register yourself. There will be an OTP to get to be a part of it. Either in the so let me just show you. Let me just show you that. So what I would do, I would like to show you. Sorry, I'm unable to get here. I'm unable to. Okay, yeah, just I'm unable to unlock this. So okay, so let me. I'm not able to get there, but let me kind of say. So there are three ways. Now, first of all, you will have to register yourself in the CoWIN app. Okay, then you will have to kind of again go and book the slots. Now, for all of this thing, you not only need an access to good internet, but you also need your digital ability, literacy to navigate through those apps. Okay, but what we have seen, okay, in case of CoWIN, there has been challenges, and what were the challenges? So there were technical glitches. On the first day of registration, the app crashed. There were privacy, policy concerns, that they were concerned that the app has no specific privacy policy. Now, mandatory registration in the COIN, that doesn't gel with the digital literacy, because people who are not literate, even if they have a device, they will not be able to kind of be a part of it. Okay, people who do not have a smartphone or an internet connection, they will anyway be kind of rooted out. And there has been loopholes. There has been media reports of many circumventions in the procedures to book slots for vaccination. Individuals using public APIs to book slots, and some even gone a step ahead in creating scripts that automatically book slots. So if this is what we mean by digital transformation, what happens to those people who are left behind, who doesn't have access to net, who are not digitally kind of skilled, and who neither and many of them who might not want to be a part of this digitally driven process. Now, again, before I end, I think I'll be taking just 1 or 2 minutes more. Now, whenever we are talking about the rural folks, because we cannot ignore them, let us have an idea of the rural folks. So of the Indians, this is based on the provisional census data. So of the Indians, to nearly 244 million households, 70% are rural. More than 179 million are rural. Now, of the rural populace, 56% do not even own land, so they depend on manual labor. Okay? And 60% of them, what the government say, are deprived. And what is meant by deprived? That is, they either live in a single room made of mud and straw, have no earning adult male or no literate adult member. Okay? And if you force them into this process of digitization using COIN for vaccination, all of us would agree it would be a bit too much for them. And we know what the likely result would be. And with that, I end my presentation. Thanks for your time and patience.
Thank you, Manoj. We have 2 questions so far. One question from Poonam Kumari Mandal. She asked why India is unable to provide advanced technology to people. It seems she wants to ask to each people. Why India is unable to provide advanced technology to each people? Number 1. And number 2 is from Professor Soumitra Roy. Manoj, wonderful, informative, Dr. Paul. For a densely populated countries like India, how do we balance economic growth and adoption of digitalization across the board and yet protect jobs? Is it possible at all to achieve a sort of balance? These
right,
2
very
questions.
Very good question. Very good questions.
Okay. Will you please?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Ms. Mondal, what happens is that it is one is that who brings this technology. So is it that the government does it or the private sector does it? So if we're saying that you bring this technological revolution, if you look at it at the base, it remains the private sector initiative. So when they and then possibly the government facilitates that, or there are very few initiatives which are being initiated by the government themselves towards this digitization, and hence you see there's a lot of things. So this is at times remains a bit biased towards the corporates away from the individuals. And besides, whenever you want to bring these technologies, now to use this technology, you need to have some drivers. Who will provide those drivers? As you know, to use your smartphone, you need to have an internet connectivity. No, someone has to provide it at a cheaper rate. Otherwise, there would be people who might not be able to afford that. And then there has to be people who would be able to kind of absorb this technology, and not only absorb once, but in a rapid space. Remember, this technology is not constant; it is changing every day. Now, I'll just give you my example. Now, I used to use eViews for my econometric estimations. Now people have started using R. Now I have to move on to the R. Now people have started using Python. I have to move towards Python. Now, one is that how long can you keep up with this pace of innovation? That also remains a constant. So one is who bears the cost of getting this technology to the masses, and second is that this technology doesn't remain same. There are constant changes. So are we adept enough to kind of live up to those challenges of being continuously kind of an adept? Because you see data science. This is artificial intelligence. Now ask something. Everything is doing. Everyone is doing everything. The question that we need to ask is that what is happening to the society at large whenever we are using such things? So this was the first part of the question that I tried to answer. If I have left anything, I would request Ms. Mondol to share her views. I would be very happy to get back to it again. I think if Professor Bandyopadhyay, if you could kind of repeat the second question. I think there was a question when the question was related to some balance, right?
Yeah, there are two parts.
Right.
For a densely populated countries like India, how do we balance economic growth and adoption of digitalization across the board
So let me
and yet protect jobs?
let me
Yeah,
just
yeah.
let me try that. There is no da rule. There cannot be da rule. There can be a rule. There can be ways. So one thing, you will be able to go on with your digitalization process once people start adopting them. Okay, only then it could be inclusive. If people stay away from them, it will never be inclusive. So you do not impose it on them. Rather, you co-create with them in what way they feel it to be kind of comfortable. There could be two processes. One is that I say this is good. I impose on people. You take it. Either you take it or you be just out of it. The other thing is that I go to people, try to understand what their requirements are, and then come up with a digital transformation strategy. Okay, and here also we need to have a social mindset out there, because we cannot allow inequalities to rise to this extent the way it is risen in the last couple of years across the globe. So there has to be, people might mark me to be a socialistic or something, I do not know, but being born and brought up in a state like West Bengal, I always feel that there is a need for public policy to kind of deliver social goods. Yeah. So that's the first response, Professor. I have tried as much as I could, Professor Bandyopadhyay. What's the
and second part is almost same. Is it possible to all? Is it possible at all to achieve a sort of balance?
No, the thing is that he will never be able to achieve a balance like that. So, but there has to be continuous efforts to move towards this digital transformation process until your entire population, behaves like that country in Sweden or Norway. So it becomes acceptable to all. They are happy with that because they have developed with them. No, they have possibly governments has been. I do not know. I don't know what has happened out there. But what I'm saying, in the Indian mindset, it has to be an iterative process. It cannot be a one-time process set in time.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you for your such presentation to on this particular issue. Okay.
Thank you.
Now I am requesting Dr. Sumona Mukherjee. Will you please unmute and place vote of thanks? Dr. Sumona Mukherjee.
Good afternoon to all of you. As we come to the end of this webinar, I would like to take a few moments to say thank you. First of all, I, on behalf of the Department of Economics, Asansol Girls College, thank Dr. Sandeep Kumar Ghatak, Vice Principal Sir, for allowing us to conduct this webinar. We also thank Dr. Shamol Seth, Coordinator IQAC of our college, for constantly encouraging us in organizing this national webinar. We express our gratitude to our guest speakers, Dr. Tarun Sengupta, and Dr. Manas Paul for giving us consent after managing their busy schedule, and also for delivering such illuminating lectures. Almost every aspect of our professional lives has changed due to this pandemic, and I am grateful for the way all of you have responded. We also thank our colleagues for providing us the technical support. This event would not have been possible without their continuous support. To everyone within our organization, thank you for putting in so much effort for making this webinar a grand success during these hard times. My sincere thanks goes to Dr. Madhumita Zamindar. Your support has helped us to complete our mission. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to all our colleagues and the students for attending this webinar and making it a grand success. Last but not the least, I must acknowledge the positive efforts of our team. We wish that with all of your support, we can carry on our journey in future. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shobana. Dear participants, I will mail the feedback forms, and once you filled it up, then the certificate, you will get the certificate of participation. Okay. And from the organizing committee, again, I thank you all, and with due permission from Vice Principal Sir, we end this national webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.